To me, that's not a big deal because it seems like there was a discussion about a small number of bricks being looked at for the purposes of determining the total mass. And only if there are variations or if there's a big variation, then more exhibits will be needed. Okay. So I don't want you living here and saying he threw you under the bus. Yes, this part about 5 exhibits and others being needed is not in his new statement before the commission, but in his affidavit a few months after this discussion that you had with him, he says there was such a discussion. So I wanted to draw it to your attention. I don't want you to comment, but I don't want you living here thinking, but we did have this discussion. Why does he come to the commission and say it didn't happen? Because I accept this as his affidavit, and I read it the way I read it, and I will leave it there.
I'll just comment by saying thank you for that, Commissioner. It makes me feel a little better inside.
No, I just wanted to show you that there is that discussion about the mass and the fact that initially 5 exhibits will be weighed. If there's a big variation between those 5, then more will be needed for the purposes of determining the total mass. So such a discussion did happen, and it is there. And we leave it at that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can I, looking at the same statement, and maybe for completeness as well, in fairness to Setsedi, Warrant Officer Setsedi, in that same paragraph, he says, I responded by, you were asking about destroying the exhibits here. Yes. And he says, I responded by saying, if they are going to destroy the exhibits, where will the total mass of the whole exhibit come from? So it seems even from this discussion with you, he was concerned about all the exhibits being accounted for, that the lab being able to speak to the total mass.
Commissioner, you're saying he was concerned about it?
It seems.
I think I was more concerned about it, Commissioner. This was the only viable option, according to him, weighing the 7 to 10 bricks. But if he told me, like his evidence here, we don't take samples, bring everything, bring it here, I would have done so.
Yes. No. I'm saying, all I'm doing is I'm reading a part of that paragraph where you have had a discussion. Commissioner Khumalo refers to it to point out that Warrant Officer Setsedi does speak to you discussing samples. Okay. That's the point that Commissioner Khumalo is saying. And my only reference is to say, well, in the same paragraph, be mindful that he also says, when he asked about destruction, he asked if destroying the exhibits won't affect the case. That's what he says. I responded by saying, if they are going to destroy the exhibits, where will the total mass of the whole exhibit come from? You see where I'm reading?
Yes, I see. Commissioner, there's no way I would ask an analyst, when do I destroy, or what did he say? How can I destroy exhibits? I'm familiar, I've done this hundreds of times. There's no way I'm going to ask an analyst, how do I go about destroying exhibits?
That part of the his statement, you're saying we must disbelieve it.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay.
That's why I say ignore how you guys frame this thing, because even your statement now before the commission in paragraph 44 and 45, you do say the concern was about the average weight of the total exhibits. Yes. So the total mass was the discussion, and you needed the average, and for that you needed a certain number of bricks. Only if there's a variation, then you need. But that has to do with the quantity for the purposes of destruction.
Yes.
Because any sample, if, let's say, for example, the 5 exhibit bags that were sent to FSL, if that is all that was discovered, and that constituted the entire bust, there would have been no difficulty with analyzing that. Yes. So the issue is not whether that small sample could be analyzed or not. The issue was, if you want to destroy, you need to know what the total is.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Commissioners. Before I turn to my next question, I just want to be sure that I heard you correctly. I think in response to a question by Commissioner Kumalo, who premised his question on quote-unquote wisdom of hindsight. Now, looking back today, we are older, we are wiser. Your explanation was because of lack or absence of storage capacity, you stored at DPCI Port Shepstone offices. Is that correct? Did I hear correctly?
It's because of lack of storage place that I indicated to the brigadier yes.
So it's not because of lack of storage that they went to Port Shepstone. That's misleading. Because we established in the morning there was storage at Maiden Wharf. So you can't even, wisdom of hindsight or otherwise, you can't sit here today and say there was no storage capacity in Durban. On the contrary, it has been demonstrated to you there was. With wisdom of hindsight, you realize now that there was capacity in Durban. You have to accept that. I don't think
Durban
we can
would
quibble.
have had capacity.
Yes. I just wanted to correct that lest there's a misunderstanding. My challenge on this issue of who is eventually responsible for the seized drugs is this. Earlier, you sought to persuade the commissioners that when Brigadier Nuswa instructed you, quote unquote, that's the word you used, to store them at DPCI Shepstone, he thereby assumed full legal responsibility for them. That was the position you held, and I think Commissioner Baloyi just re-engaged you on that issue, correct?
Yes, that's
all
correct.
Right. My confusion then is when he tells you on the 27th, no, he tells you after the 27th of October that there was an attempted break-in. Why do you get yourself involved? Why don't you say, that's your baby, they're your drugs, you've taken responsibility for them. Why must you be going to FSL to try and facilitate or expedite their reaction, their destruction, unless you were just doing him a favor?
No, you are correct. Okay. I should have done so. It's a police culture. You very rarely question your superiors, but I should have done so.
No, here it's not about questioning. He told you about a crisis that had befallen them. There was an attempted break-in. Your reaction was to then involve yourself, it would sound, on exhibits that are no longer your responsibility, notwithstanding the fact that you're in the investigating officer. Why did you do all that? Because that is how you find yourself against FSL Amazim Toti as to who said what on what day and what was the content of the conversation, because you went to FSL Amazim Toti to chase up on drugs for which you had no responsibility, according to you?
Yes. Commissioner, it was the Brigadier's direct words, follow up with the lab, when he called me and informed me about the attempted break-in. Follow up with the lab to see what we can do to either dispose or destroy. He asked me to follow up with the lab, and that's what I did.
Did I see that in your statement? Oh, okay. So was that an instruction?
He didn't say I'm instructing you, but I took it as an instruction.
You know, the problem with your explanations about this is you are the investigating officer, and yet you present to us as if Nuswa was running this. That's the problem with this discussion about these exhibits where they are sitting, there's an attempted break-in, how you respond, or your absence of a response, actually, to the news that there was an attempted break-in. It's as if this is Brigadier Nuswa's show. And we will ask him that. So I think whatever answer you are giving to us on this, be assured that it's a matter that he will be engaged on. Whether once he had come in to assist you, and I use the word assist because that's what you did. You called him to assist you, to find a place. Once you had called him to come and assist you, you then sort of washed your hands off it while it's still there. It's now Brigadier Nuswa's baby. Even when you hear that there's an attempted break-in, well, it's not my problem. It's the Brigadier's problem. I do have a fundamental problem with accepting that that was your understanding, that what you're telling us is a true reflection of your understanding of that, your continued relationship with those exhibits.
Commissioner, once again, I'll say it in a normal course of things, if it was a small, normal exhibits that we handled, yes, I'm fully responsible as the investigating officer, fully responsible. This was an anomaly. It was a special circumstance. It was out of my control, or can I say it wasn't within my powers to acquire a suitable storage place. Although we've now established I hadn't exhausted all avenues, albeit, notwithstanding that, I'm saying once Brigadier Newswa made the decision to store in Port Shepstone, it moves away from the Durban area, it moves away from my control. He's a provincial commander. Yes, I do bear some sort of responsibility for those exhibits, but I can't do anything without his say-so. I can't go to Colonel Prinsloo and now just remove exhibits. The directive would have to come from a brigadier. And when he told me about the break-in, his words to me was follow up with the lab. So maybe I should have explicitly said it and said, okay, while I'm following up with the lab, Brigadier, you can try and acquire another place that's safer. Maybe I should have done that. But I'm still maintaining that if it was a normal course of things and it was a normal exhibits that we deal with, I've seized, it's an exhibit that's manageable, that I'm able to handle, yes, I will take full responsibility. It's outside now, it's so many 100 kilometers away from the Durban area. There's only so much influence I can exert on what happens to these exhibits, seeing as it's now at a unit, a Port Shepstone unit that's controlled by another lieutenant colonel who stored it there on directives of Brigadier Newswa. So yes, I won't wash my hands off completely, but I'll say I'm not totally responsible for the exhibits as I would have been had it been a normal bust with a normal amount of exhibits.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Colonel. Just a quick one to close on this. After the theft discovered on the 8th of November, were you ever involved in the issues regarding the burglary and theft itself?
When you say issues...
whether it is investigating what happened, or were you ever involved in any way regarding the burglary itself?
Other than going to that scene on the day when it happened,
yes,
with the Captain Majola and canvassing the area for CCTV footage and that type of thing, there was nothing further I had done.
You indicated, I think yesterday, that, was it Warrant Officer Sibia at the time was a very junior member who was there with narcotics bursts, but you thought he was sufficiently knowledgeable that you brought him on this particular operation. Do you recall? Are you aware that he instructed members at DPCI Port Shepstone to find information regarding the burglary after it occurred? Are you aware of that?
He instructed members, Commissioner. Huh? You say he instructed members?
I'll say instructed when he tells a member to initiate an information seeking exercise. I'm avoiding the word formal. I'm avoiding the formal word investigation. I want to find out if you are aware.
No, I'm not aware of that. Commissioner, can I just maybe expand? Yes. Although I said we did not investigate it, when I say that, it means we were not the investigating officers of the theft of drugs from Port Shepstone. Ultimately, head office took over that, which was foreseeable. Although we did not officially investigate it, yes, we tasked informers, we made inquiries, we did all of the necessary to see if those drugs pitched up somewhere in KZN.
Yes, indeed. This is investigations out there. Yes. What I'm referencing here is warrant officer instructing another member to officially conduct that.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
So you didn't instruct him to do so?
No, Commissioner.
And in this report, so that to give perspective, CJC 267, CJC 267, that will be at page 798.